Today's lesson is Fabulous Flower Festivals, Floriade and the Infiorata di Noto. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And you may be thinking that you have tuned into the wrong program in the wrong language because what are all those weird words that you just read? They don't sound like English at all, and they probably aren't. I think one is Italian and the other one is probably from Latin or something like that. But we are talking about flower festivals when we celebrate flowers because lots of people love them.
Absolutely. Maybe that word Floriade, one of the names of the festivals we'll be learning about. That's a bit of a clue there. Flower, flora, fleur. These are all different ways of saying or denoting or talking about flowers. And people love flowers. I think most cities in the world will have a botanical garden, which is basically like a zoo for flowers, a beautiful place to go and look at flowers from all over the world. And of course, the smell of flowers is something we love to have around us, both in their natural floral form, in the form of flowers, but also in perfumes and soaps and things that often smell of rose and other nice flower scents. And yes, flowers, of course, as a gift for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or any time from funerals to weddings. Flowers are a big part of life and a source of beauty in our normal lives. So let's find out some flower festivals. If you're hungry for more flowers, we're going to tell you where and when to travel the world to get your fill of flowers. Fabulous flower festivals. Floriade and the Infiorata di Noto. People have lots of different views about aesthetics. However, if there's one opinion that people everywhere share, it's that flowers are beautiful. This international admiration has inspired a calendar full of flower festivals, including the Floriade and the Infiorata di Noto festivals.
大家好，标题中看到形容词 fabulous， 表示极好的或是绝佳的。例如 Lisa looked fabulous in her new dress that she bought for the party. Lisa 穿着为派对买的新洋装，看起来棒极了。或者 Manny's performance in the play was a fabulous display of his talent. Manny 在那出戏中的表现，绝佳地展现出他的天分。再来看到名词 admiration， 它的意思是欣赏、赞赏或是钦佩。例如 The audience applauded to show their admiration for the speaker. 观众拍手以显示他们对演讲者的欣赏。也可以说 Allie talks about her sister with admiration. Allie 谈到她姐姐时语带钦佩。另外补充这个字的动词 admire, A-D-M-I-R-E, admire. 造个例句 I admire the way she remains calm in stressful situations. 我欣赏她在压力大的情况下仍能保持冷静的样子。另外一句 Many people admire Melinda's commitment to social causes. 许多人钦佩 Melinda 对社会事业的投入。
Okay, so again, we're talking about fabulous flower festivals. If something's fabulous, it's really great. That's another word you can use if you've used the word great too many times. You can say wonderful, outstanding, fabulous, etc. There are different words to express greatness. And these are fabulous flower festivals. It's kind of catchy because we're using the letter F at the beginning of these words. And here in the first paragraph, it says, people have lots of different views about aesthetics. That's a hard one to say. Aesthetics. You got to put the TH sound in there. I suppose if you have trouble pronouncing TH, you can just say aesthetics or something. People will know what you mean, even though you didn't quite say it exactly right. But that is something that is concerned with the appearance of something with beauty. Aesthetics.
Exactly. If you're into interior design, if you're into painting, if you're into photography or anything kind of like that, aesthetics is a big part of your job. Just understanding what is beautiful, what is attractive, what will look good in a certain environment or against a certain background. If you have an eye for design and art and beauty, you have an aesthetic eye, so well done. It says, however, if there's one opinion that people everywhere share, it's that flowers are beautiful. Yeah, taste in aesthetics, like taste in food or music, it's very personal, and it can, of course, have cultural dimensions to it, too. What some people think beautiful in one part of the world, other people will find boring in another part of the world, but it's generally understood around all cultures that flowers are beautiful. Even though flowers might serve different roles, and of course different types of flowers will be found in different parts of the world, you will find flowers in almost every culture, especially when they're beautifying and decorating things. People like flowers is basically what we're saying here. So because of that, this international admiration has inspired a calendar full of flower festivals. There you go, including the Floriad and Inforiata di Noto festivals. I love that name. So yes, international admiration. People love food. There's food festivals all over the world. People love music. There are music festivals all over the world. People love flowers. There are flower festivals all over the world. There is international admiration for flowers. When you admire something, you think it's nice. You think it's good. You think it brings something exceptional into the world. It could be, with an idol that you admire, someone you kind of look up to and want to model yourself on. It could be just an artist you admire. I don't want to be like Beethoven. I just really like his music, and it brings joy into my life, and I really feel good. It's something that makes me happy, that kind of thing. So just liking of something is admiration. So lots of people like flowers. So we have a calendar full of flower festivals, and we'll be talking about two of them, the Floriad and the Inforiata di Noto. Let's start off with the Floriad, which is in Australia. I would never have guessed that by the name. For several weeks starting in September, Canberra's Commonwealth Park is covered with color when Floriad comes to town. The free festival was first held in 1988, and it quickly became an annual tradition. Now, with over 1 million blossoms each year, Floriad truly lives up to its name, which is derived from a Latin word meaning to be decked or covered with flowers.
第二部分介绍片语 live up to， 指达到或是符合要求或期望。我们可以说 Mandy has trouble living up to her parents' tough expectations. Mandy 一直无法达到她父母严格的期待。又或者说 The resort did not live up to the travelers' expectations. 这个度假中心不符合游客的期待。
Okay, here we're going to talk about the Floriad in Australia for several weeks starting in September. Canberra's Commonwealth Park is covered with color when Floriad comes to town. Now, as you know, Australia has its capital city in a place called Canberra. It's not the biggest city in Australia. It's smaller than Melbourne or Adelaide or Sydney. That's the other city, the one with the opera house.
Yeah.
But in any case, yes, you're going to Australia and you're going to Canberra, which again is the capital city of Australia. And they have a park there called Commonwealth Park, and it's covered with color when Floriad comes to town. If something comes to town, well, it just happens. It could be talking about someone or something actually visiting your city, like Santa Claus is coming to town, which will happen in a couple of months here. But in this case, the Floriad occurs in this city in September.
There you go. It comes to town. Yeah, so festivals will come to town. As you said, artists might come to town to do a concert. And of course, yeah, the Christmas season comes to town with all the decorations that's sort of involved in that. That is when it happens. That is when you will see it. The free festival, that's good news, so it's free, was first held in 1988, and it quickly became an annual tradition. So this is kind of nice. As you said, Roger, Canberra is the capital of Australia. Not a city that gets a lot of tourism, I would guess. It's really just sort of the political, administrative center of the country. It's rather a newer city, I think, kind of built to not have the capital in any of the other big cities. They put it in Canberra, and I've never really heard of a lot of people saying, oh, you got to go to Canberra. There's so much good stuff to see there. So here's a reason to visit Canberra. The free flower festival, the Floriad, started in 88 and became an annual tradition. Obviously, it was popular, and now it is held each year. Now, here's a good number, with over 1 million blossoms each year. That's a whole lot of flowers. Floriad truly lives up to its name, which is derived from a Latin word meaning to be decked or covered with flowers. Okay, so it does have kind of a Latin root, and that's on purpose. That is the name. Of course, they don't speak Latin in Australia. They're just using that word because it has this idea of flowers, and flora is a word we often use to talk about plants and flowers that grow naturally. And they have a lot of them, 1 million blossoms each year. We could say 1 million flowers each year. The blossom is actually the beautiful part of the flower. When the petals open, when we have that beautiful red with all the beautiful little petals, the little leaves of the rose, that's the blossom. If you're wearing a flower on your shirt or on your jacket or clothing, like a corsage or something, that would be the blossom, and a little bit of the stem, a little bit of the green stick, but just the flower part of the flower, the thing that smells nice and looks pretty, that is the blossom. So they're here because I'm sure they're not just cutting the blossoms off. This is just really another way of saying flowers. So they have 1 million flowers or blossoms there each year. That's a lot. And it lives up to its name. It really does live up to its name. I mean, if they call it the Floriade Flower Festival and there were 400 flowers there, you'd kind of go, this is like a pretty good flower shop. This isn't a festival. This is kind of boring. This is kind of not impressive. If something lives up to its name, it is as impressive as you are led to believe, right? It's not false advertising. They're not tricking you by making it sound bigger and grander. No, it is big. It is grand. It has 1 million flowers. And the name is derived, Floriade is derived or comes from, traces its roots back to a Latin word. Of course, Latin being the sort of mother language of many European languages, a Latin word which means to be decked or covered with flowers, a Floriade.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I was told that blossoms and flowers were basically the same thing. For me, blossoms tend to grow on trees like cherry blossoms or peach blossoms or plum blossoms, etc. You just kind of have to know what we call each individual flower. Like a rose is a kind of flower, although technically you could say it's a blossom as well. But I tend to think of a rose as a flower, like a tulip as well. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third part and talk some more about Floriade.
Floriade's most spectacular display features a field full of tulips. Beyond that, live performances, workshops, and food stalls keep the roughly 400,000 visitors busy. In addition, several fun activities help attract repeat attendees. One favorite is the Gnome Knoll competition, for which schools, businesses, and nursing homes create cute scenes involving garden gnomes. After the festival, the Great Big Bulb Dig lets people pay to dig up and take home some of the flowers, with the proceeds supporting good causes.
第三部分介绍形容词 spectacular， 指的是壮观的、精彩的或是令人惊叹的。举例来说 ，The erupting volcano was a spectacular sight。那座爆发中的火山景色很壮观。又或者说 The concert featured a spectacular light show。那场演唱会的特色是令人惊叹的灯光秀。接着看到名词 workshop， 表示工作坊。例如 My friend likes to write, so he went to a workshop in creative writing。我的朋友喜欢写作，所以他参加了一个创意写作工作坊。也可以说I became excited as I thought about attending a workshop about furniture building。当我想到要参加一个有关家具制造的工作坊时，我变得很兴奋。最后看到 proceeds 这个单字，它是名词，表示来自活动或变卖财物的收益或是收入。我们可以说 The proceeds from the event will go to the local hospital。该活动的收益将捐赠给当地医院。最后一个例子Some of the proceeds from the film are going to be given to charity。电影的部分收益将捐献给慈善机构。
Okay, so again, we're in Australia. We're down under in Canberra, and we're celebrating Floriade, which happens this month in September. Floriad's most spectacular display features a field full of tulips. Okay, tulips are those flowers that are famous in the Netherlands. 郁金香, I think, is what you say in Chinese. My grandmother, of course, had Dutch ancestry, so she just loved tulips, and she would take us out to her garden every, summer or spring or whatever, and show us how she planted the bulbs in the ground to get the tulips to grow. And yes, indeed, if you like tulips, they come in many different colors. If you like tulips, you can check out this full field of tulips. I hope you don't have hay fever or some kind of allergy.
Okay, a field full of tulips. That absolutely sounds pretty impressive. Of course, yes, if you went to Holland, the Netherlands, you would see that probably without too much difficulty. But finding that many tulips in one place in other parts of the world would be spectacular. Something spectacular is amazing, incredible, very, very impressive. It will make you go, wow, what a lot of tulips. And of course, that's something that will also be quite rare. That's why it's so amazing and impressive to see. Beyond that, so it's not just a field full of tulips and then you see that and then you go home. No, they have much more at the Floriade. So beyond that, or apart from that, live performances, workshops, and food stalls keep the roughly 400,000 visitors busy. So they have all sorts of stuff to entertain people. It's not just about flowers. They have live performances. Maybe bands are playing or something like that. That would be very, very interesting. Workshops, so places you can go and take classes. Maybe flower arranging classes, how to become a better gardener, new equipment you can use to improve your garden and the beauty of your flowers at home. Workshops are basically sort of single classes on a specific topic, and they often have them sort of in a temporary form, not in a normal school class. You probably wouldn't call many things that happen regularly on the school schedule a workshop, but maybe on the weekend they have a little bit of extra education, a little bit of extra learning opportunity for people in a temporary basis on a specific topic. That would be a workshop of some kind, not always involving working in a shop or woodworking. It could be on any topic, but it's probably a short, limited time kind of educational program. And then they also have food stalls. Of course, you'll get hungry watching all these performances, going to the workshop, seeing the field of tulips. You get a little hungry, so they have food stalls, kind of food trucks and things like that, selling things for hungry visitors. And this will keep the roughly 400,000 of those visitors very busy and with pleasantly full tummies.
Yep, you can eat food at those food stalls like we have in night markets here in Taiwan, and you can participate in those workshops. To me, a workshop is where you get some hands-on experience with something, kind of unlike a class where you're sitting at a desk listening to the teacher. In a workshop, you actually stand up around a table and work on things. They probably teach you how to arrange flowers or plant them or whatever. And so those are things that you can be busy with if you attend this particular festival. And in addition, several fun activities help attract repeat attendees. An attendee, of course, is someone who attends an activity, who goes there and participates in that activity. And yes, indeed, these things will keep you occupied. These activities, you'll want to come back. They want you to be a repeat attendee. If you repeat something, you do it again, you do it again, you repeat, you repeat, you repeat. But in this particular case, they want people to come back to this festival so that it can grow every year.
One favorite is the Gnome Knoll competition, for which schools, businesses, and nursing homes create cute scenes involving garden gnomes. Okay, this does sound cute, definitely. We should first talk about what garden gnomes are. These are small little figures that people buy often in gardening shops, and it's very much of a British tradition. They're dressed as gnomes. These are little gnome characters, and think of a gnome kind of like a dwarf, kind of like a friendly little sort of Lord of the Rings type character. Often they have cute little stocking caps in red, and they have chubby cheeks, kind of like a little mini Santa Claus, but more of a Lord of the Rings type Santa Claus character. And you arrange them in different scenes, and people do often do this with their garden. They might even have a little fountain, a little lake, a little waterfall, and they'll kind of arrange the gnomes around in the bushes, peeking out behind the flowers in cute ways. And so they actually have a competition where you can create your own scene. Competition being some kind of game or contest where people are competing against each other. And at the end, I guess they have judges that go around and look at all the different dioramas, all the little scenes that people have created, and they give out a first, a second, and a third place prize. So you can actually win something, but I'm sure it's a lot more just for fun and for taking part and just enjoying it. And schools get involved, businesses get involved, and nursing homes. So even retired folks who are living in the nursing home, they get encouraged to come up with their own little scenes, arrange their own little cute things, have probably little jokes in there or little commentaries about modern news or whatever, little Trump gnome or something in there. But basically, yeah, this is another thing that will also be decorated with flowers, of course, because garden gnomes are often found in gardens. But here they kind of do it a little more seriously. There's a competition, and I'm sure you would see a lot of things there that would be both cute and funny and also just beautiful.
Yep, do a Google search for Floriade gnomes or whatever, and you'll probably see some examples of the displays that people came up with. Again, this is a competition. They win prizes probably in different categories. And yes, indeed, these are all scenes involving garden gnomes. And after the festival, the Great Big Bulb Dig lets people pay to dig up and take home some of the flowers, with the proceeds supporting good causes. Okay, so you can participate in this festival. There's this activity called the Great Big Bulb Dig. Flowers oftentimes grow from a bulb. It's kind of a round thing that you plant in the ground, and flowers will grow from it every year. My grandmother showed me how to plant them when I was a kid. And yes, indeed, this is a dig in which you actually take these things out of the ground, and you can keep some of these flowers, but you have to pay to do this, which is worth it because the proceeds, or the money they make from people paying to dig up the flowers, will support good causes. The money will be given to charity for like orphan children or refugees or whatever. Proceeds is money that people make with such activities. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分提到，花朵很美是各地人们共享的看法。那这种国际性的欣赏启发了一整年的花卉节庆，其中包括坎培拉花卉节，还有诺托花毯节。好，文中它是用 including 来表达包括。我们来比较一下 including、included 还有 inclusive 的用法。including 是介系词，表示包含包括。那它的用法是用 including 加上名词。例如 Everyone, including the principal, enjoyed the speech. 所有的人，包括校长，都很喜欢那场演讲。那么 included 是形容词，表示包括在内的，被包括的。它的用法会是名词加上 included。像刚刚的例句可以改成 Everyone, the principal included, enjoyed the speech. 好，那么 inclusive 则是形容词，它的用法会是 inclusive of 加上名词。那这是比较正式的用法。例如 These prices are not inclusive of tax. 这些价格不含税。好，课文第三部分提到，在坎培拉花卉节，其中一个最受欢迎的活动是花园地精墩竞赛。学校、企业和养老院会为此创造可爱的花园地精场景来参赛。文中是在 The Gnome Knoll Competition 花园地精墩竞赛的后面接了逗号 for which schools, businesses, and nursing homes create 来表达说学校、企业和养老院会为此创造什么什么。好，这里的 which 就是代指 the Gnome Knoll Competition。那么 which 前方的介系词 for 原本是摆在关系子句的句尾，只是课文把它移到了关系代名词 which 的前面了。我们这边来学习这个用法。好，关系代名词它有分成主格、受格、所有格三种。受格关系代名词是当受词用，那基本的句型结构会是先行词加上受格关系代名词 whom、which 或是 that， 再加主词加动词。受格关系代名词是可以省略不用的。举例来说 I haven't finished the book which you lent me， 或是 the book that you lent me， 或是 the book you lent me， 三种都可以。我还没看完你借我的那本书。接着当关系子句的句尾有介系词，那么关系代名词又是这个介系词的受词时，我们可以把介系词移到关系代名词前方。这时候关系代名词不能省略哦，而且不能用 that， 它的句型会是先行词加介系词 加受格关系代名词 whom 或 which 加主词加动词。那这样的句型是比较正式的用法。例如 The girl that I chatted with yesterday is Tom's sister。 那这边的 that 也可以换成 whom 或是省略，意思是说昨天跟我聊天的那个女孩是 Tom 的妹妹。我们如果把介系词 with 移到关系代名词前方，就只能写作 The girl with whom I chatted yesterday is Tom's sister。 那这边 whom 不能省略，也不能够用 who 或是 that 去取代。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Fabulous. My friends and I had a fabulous time at the beach last weekend. Admiration. Jeff's constant effort and positive attitude earned the admiration of his team. Spectacular. A spectacular concert was performed in the town square just last night. Workshop. Olivia is planning to attend a writing workshop to improve her writing skills. Stall. Philip runs a jewelry stall at the night market that attracts lots of customers. Competition. A cooking competition was recently held to find the best local chef.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.